Now, it may or may not be there. If it's there, just backspace and take it out. And in place of that, you have to type in quote %1 quote and then click OK till that exits out. So that means for that file type, Word documents, DOC, it is not going to use DDE when you try and open a Word document. So once that's done, I went back to the same file I browsed to on the network, opened it up, and it came up right away, instantly,
So that
like
was it.
normal. Yeah. So when it's Outlook, open the attachment, opened up fine. So now I know it's DDE. So if you wanted to, you could just change the file types, doc, docx, xlx, xls, xlsx. But the problem is, from the little testing I did, any even a reboot um, checks that box again to
So it brings that
to
setting
use
back.
DDE. Right. It puts the setting back to use DDE. So, but it does not change the field where you took out DDE and put in
%1.
quote %1 quote. It left that there. So with that checked still, I opened up the Word document and it still opened up fine. So I don't know if you need to uncheck or I think if it rechecks DDE, it's fine as long as that switch is not there, /DDE. But that's fine for a workaround. That's not a fix.
Right, 'cause other folks, I'm sure, are configured the same way that this person was.
Well, this is only happening on two people, and the two things that these people have in common, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but they do share it in common. They're both female, and they both sit in the same, like next to each other, like one office apart. A lot of things that one person loads, hey, I found this cool thing online, go load it. She loads it too. So I think they're loading a lot of the same software.
Oh, okay.
So, because it wasn't affecting anyone else, only them two.
I would say that I've seen this type of behavior. We like we had rolled up some patches for our owners updates. Then all of a sudden this behavior came up, and we found out through some research that it was a Office update, and forgive me, I don't remember which update it was or which KB, but it was a Windows Office validation type. And once that installed, when you open up any attachments, it took forever. But once you uninstall this patch, then you're fine.
Hmm.
So, and we just through our our servers, we just retracted that one update, and then we were good. But
Yeah. So now I left it this way at this client's office.
okay,
And I said, You're going to work this way. I'm going to have to do some research, some more research on this. So I know it's DDE, but that's pretty much all I know. I don't. So anyway, I found a utility called DDE Spy. And this utility is included on the Visual Studio 6 CD that you get from MSDN.
wow, and how many folks would still have that disk?
Yeah, exactly. So when I found online after searching quite a bit, I found that this would tell me what's you can basically see all the DDE communications that's going on.
Okay,
And of course, we've had MSDN for 15 years, so I went and luckily found that CD. So now I have the DDE Spy utility. So when I go back to that office, from the research I've done, I can just open this and tell it to monitor. You just basically just turn it on and monitor. I can undo the changes I did, put that utility in monitor mode, try and open the file, and just it should tell me what's happening with DDE. So it's going to point to either some driver or some add-in or some program that's going to be pretty much just not responding to DDE commands. So after I do that, I'll probably let y'all know what I found. But
yeah, that'd be great.
that's the real fix is to find out what's not responding to the DDE commands. Now, the byproduct of leaving this to not use DDE, from what I found, is that when you open up a new Word document, so you have one open, and then you open another one, it's going to open in a separate window.
Okay.
So that's a byproduct of what happens. But that I found that interesting. I've come across this %1 quote before for something else, and I was trying to remember what it was, but I know it wasn't this. That %1 quote seems to work in quite a few things.
So, just to clarify, because this DDE is not a service that runs in the background, right? This is just a process.
Right. This is something that Office relies upon to basically communicate and share data with other programs.
And the reason I ask, I wonder if you can use that System Tuner Tools Process Explorer also, just to see what's going on in the background.
So 0 Day in the chat says that %1 means parameter 1. I'm not sure what parameter 1 means in that instance, but that's what it means. %1 means parameter 1. I'm not a programmer at all, so I don't know anything about that stuff. But yeah, right. It is dynamic data exchange. So that's an issue if you come across it. And I don't necessarily think it's Office's fault. It's some program that's not responding. So some other program somewhere else is not responding. And this is one of those customers when they have a computer go out and you have to reload Windows and reload the computers, or even if they just get a new hard drive, a new computer. You're there the whole day installing and configuring all the programs that they use.
I wonder if you can, if this has occurred since a week ago, 14 days, if you can look at their add and remove the programs and see what they recently installed.
I looked through there. I saw a few things, but
nothing that
spyware related, coupon printer or the coupon activator.
Who wouldn't want that?
I know those coupons are invaluable. It's definitely worth it. Of course, I removed that stuff and did a spyware scan, but it didn't really find anything. So, okay, so yeah, it's just them two. They're working now, and I need to go back. They actually ordered a new WatchGuard router. So when I go over there to configure and install that, I'm gonna try a few things with that DDE Spy. So
sweet.
But that was interesting, and that was I actually wasn't even working that day. I was still on vacation when I had to deal with all this. So that was my last vacation day, dealing with that for a few hours.
Cool. So, I mean, not quite all, but you know.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to do it. So that's it. The next thing we can talk about, and a lot of people may be familiar with this already, but I'm going to cover for people who aren't familiar with it. A client called, they're getting a blue screen, and it happens once in a while. I said, well, document it if you can. We went through all the things of unchecking automatic reboot on system failure,
right,
so she could document it.
What is XP?
This is XP.
Okay.
Right. So we did that, and finally she was able to find the blue screen because it only happens, she says, once every couple of weeks. I said, once you get it, call me. I want to try something. So the blue screen referenced watchdog.sys in the blue screen. Now, of course, they have a WatchGuard router, and
of course,
this is funny because people who have WatchGuard routers call it watchdog routers.
I can see that. Yeah.
So she says, of course, the router is making my computer blue screen. So I had to tell her, no, watchdog.sys is a Windows system file. It has nothing to do with your WatchGuard, which, by the way, is a WatchGuard, not a watchdog. So we can rule the router out. Okay?
Yeah, I would love for you to hear that conversation.
So You'd be surprised how many people call WatchGuard routers watchdogs.
Hmm.
They said my watchdog what'd they say? My watchdog went out. Really? Where did it go? It's not watching anything anymore? I don't understand. So anyway, as the utility I used, and a lot of people may have heard of it, but again, if you haven't, it's called Who Crashed. Have you used that before?
Yes.
That's a nice utility. So if for those out there who haven't used it, just do a search for Who Crashed, no spaces, altogether, and basically it's pretty easy. You load that on the computer, you run it, and it tells you here's what we think caused the crash. It analyzes your crash dump file on your computer. So very quickly, I was able to tell this is your video card, and I showed her the Thank You Computer Pro. The link is www.resplendence.com. It's on that site. And I just clicked on it, so I got off the chat. So resplendence.com is where you'll find it. So if you do a search for Watch Who Crashed, if you see a link for Resplendence software, that is it. So check that out. She wasn't convinced that it wasn't the router. Even though I told her it wasn't the router, she was not sure. So when I ran this and showed her that it analyzed the crash dump file and it said, video card driver here, she was like, "Oh, okay." She's like I was trying to, lie to her or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Um, so so I said we can look for a new video driver. Hopefully there is one because that's what you need. If they don't have one now, we'll have to keep checking back, or we can do maybe a few other things. Maybe the video application, add. But anyway, there was a new driver, and a driver released 2 days ago. So, 2 days before I was doing this, which was a few days ago. So,
Okay.
updated that, and we just have to monitor and see if that fixes it because it doesn't happen often. It's one of those things where you have to wait and see.
Yeah. In fact, you are correct with blue screens. I have found out a lot of time it is the driver, and then you go back to an older driver, and everything works fine. And it's not only the video driver; it could coincide with some other the driver. But no, I mean that's a great app if you want to edit it down, because blue screens, if you don't know how to research those, it does send you in an endless loop of pain of trying to research what 0x800000FE is.
Right. And before I used Watch Who Crashed, I was actually using a utility from Microsoft that you could use to analyze the crash dumps. Much more complicated than Who Crashed. Who Crashed very easy compared to what I was using. So this is definitely a good utility if you get some blue screens and you just want to find out real quick what's causing it. Now, of course, the standard ones, page fault and non-page fault, that's different. But what they reference is a file, I think, it's easy to find out what's causing it. So
I'm not sure, and I totally agree.
So Who Crashed? Check it out. That turned what could have been a longer job into a 15-minute call.
Yeah.
Of course, she may call back next week and said I did it again. So,
Isn't yeah.
in which case I might go back into an older version if I can find it.
Yeah, we're an HP house, so we have HP desktops, and I forget what model. I know it was an HP 5850. It could have been a Z200. I digress. But anyways, we put an image on there and put the latest video driver in a blue screen, and then we tried 2 versions back, and it worked just fine. Quite odd.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes. And if there was no video card new, I would have probably gone back to the last one. But she had been using this driver for a while, so I'm glad there was a new one just to try it.
And also, if you're an HP house, if you have HP desktops and servers, the forums are great. And because there's just a wealth of information. And I'll give you an example. We had where this flood of help desk cases that come in where PCs came down to a crawl. I mean, everything, and our PCs have 4 gigs of RAM. They have dual core, quad core